My story's probably a lot like your story. I'm sure the details are different, but it really boils down to this: coming to realize how loved and how accepted we are by God. I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't grow up around Christianity. I didn't grow up with the Bible. I didn't grow up with any of this stuff. I grew up in a fairly well-to-do community, great setting, had a wonderful childhood in many ways, and really had all my needs met. So I think there was a part of me that thought, what do I need God for? I didn't see anything in the church when we go on holidays that was of very much interest to me. I had a great education, ended up having a really good career, was pretty darn successful in my career, the creative side of really big budget, multi-million-dollar advertising, and had achieved pretty much everything the world says I needed to be happy, and yet there was still something missing. And through an interesting series of events, I actually ended up living in a cabin in the woods in northwest Montana, and I was freelancing for different ad agencies around the country and had my own business as well. And living in this cabin, it was actually heated by a wood stove, so I would spend the end of the summers, the beginning of the fall, even the beginning of winter, splitting a lot of wood, and I loved it. It was great exercise. It was a great way to work out frustrations, aggressions. And one day when I was splitting wood, I was actually going through a challenging time in my life where all of a sudden, nothing seemed to be working out. And I had split wood to the point of almost exhausting myself and had fallen back into a snowbank to just sit and think, try to figure everything out. And for most of my life, I could figure things out. I was an intellectual. I'd been blessed with a sharp mind, a good mind, and could always pretty much think my way through things. And I'd finally hit a place where I couldn't think through, couldn't figure my way out. And that was actually when God showed up, made himself real to me, and declared over me, I refuse not to love you. In this moment, I felt his love, I felt his acceptance, and I realized that none of my past, none of my mistakes, none of my history didn't hold any of it against me. All he wanted me to know was that I was loved and that I was accepted fully and completely. And something in that opened my heart in a way that nothing ever had. Money hadn't, success hadn't, awards hadn't, achievements hadn't. Responding, hearing that he refused not to love me, opened something up in me that all I wanted to do was reach out to him, and he came flooding into me like a tidal wave and shifted everything in my life. I want everybody to know that love. I want everyone to know that acceptance. But in addition to that, I want everyone to know that they're created for a purpose. Because one of the things God did for me was not only open my eyes to the reality of who Jesus is, all that he did for me, the love, the acceptance he had for me, but also ignited a passion in me and a purpose in me that for the first time in my life, I had what felt like a God-given purpose, like something that burned in me almost on a genetic level, like down to the very molecules of my being. Something woke up, and I realized that God not only was with me, but he created me with a purpose, and he was moving me into that purpose. And for the last 14 years now, he's been leading me step by step into more and more of that purpose. I go around the world preaching the gospel. I go around the world as a prophetic voice to the nations. I go around the world encouraging believers and helping them grab hold of what God has for them, just like he's helped me grab hold of what he has for me. You were created for a purpose, and that purpose burns inside of you in some way. And God wants you to know that you're loved, that you're accepted, that your past isn't held against you, mistakes aren't held against you, that everything he created you for, this is your moment to step into it. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I created Heroes Arise. That's why we do the Men on the Front Lines movement. That's why we have the books, the resources. That's why we have the teachings, the CDs, the mentoring days, the schools. It's all to help you hear from God, connect with God's plan and purpose for your life, to see that purpose ignited in you, because you're part of God's solution for this hour. I believe in you, I know God believes in you. And what I want for you is, yes, I want you to know God's love and acceptance in ways that perhaps you've never even imagined. And just as much, I want to see that purpose of what God created you for, your destiny. I want to see that ignited in you so that you can burn with that. Because I know from my life, there's nothing like that. No level of achievement, no level of success, nothing that I'd ever achieved or experienced before God was the same as knowing his love, knowing his acceptance, and in that, grabbing hold of him and having him lead me in to what he created me for. I want that for you.